I'm Abby Leckler. I'm a quality improvement consultant, and I'm excited today to take what Shelly and Beth have shared and show you how to utilize the new reporting features that are available in our new platform to show you how you are tracking for progress towards awards. So in the past, hopefully you got into the patient management tool, maybe you ran your report, maybe you had an AHA quality consultant who maybe reached out to you and let you know how you were doing on track or not for awards. But this new platform has so many great opportunities to keep you informed and really aware of your data so that at any time you'll know how your hospital is tracking towards awards. First I'm going to go through some slides and point out some of the features and steps that you would take. And then I'm actually going to transition to a demo environment and run some reports for you live here. So let's pray that the technology gods are with us today as we do that. The first thing that I'm going to talk about are some of the on-demand reporting features that are available as soon as you log in to your community page. So the on-demand dashboards are a really exciting new feature that's available to all hospitals. And you should see graphs already populating since you've had data migrated from the previous platform. So there are two different sections. The very top section is going to include each set of recognition measures, the achievement measures, quality measures, and then both the target stroke and then the target stroke advanced therapy dashboard. This first set of reports, the time frame that you will see is always going to be a rolling 4 quarters. So obviously we are now in Q1 of 2023. So the data that is currently populated on the dashboard will be quarters 1 through 4 of 2022. As soon as we transition to April, you'll see that this dashboard will look a little bit different. It will then show Q2 of 2022 through Q1 of 2023. So this will always provide you the most prior 12 months in a rolling 4 quarters. Now, right now, it obviously is showing the full calendar year of 2022, but this will only be the case for the very first quarter of the year. So we don't always recommend that you use this set of dashboard graphs to track your award compliance, because obviously it will only be accurate for this first quarter of the year. This is a great opportunity to obviously track by quarter your data for each of these measures, and we obviously encourage you to utilize this for those purposes. This set of metrics, which you can access by kind of just scrolling down a little bit on your dashboard, this is going to give you the same 4 sets of reports, but it's always going to show the current year. So right now, you can see in this demo site, since we have transitioned to 2023, what you're seeing is kind of that peach graph, which is 2023 Q1. So any data that had been entered from January 1 currently. But then you'll also notice there's that kind of pinkish purple graph that will always show a cumulative year to date. So this may not be super helpful here in Q1 because obviously these two graphs are going to be the same, knowing that we only have 1 quarter maybe a handful of patients in for the new year. But what you'll see is as data gets entered each quarter as the year goes on, you will see that there will be a bar graph for each quarter plus the cumulative year to date. So that's always going to be your best opportunity to track the following year compliance for award. You'll be able to look here very quickly and see, okay, my anticoagulation for AFib, that measure looks great. We're looking good on everything. Oh, maybe until we get to that thrombolytic therapy arrive by 3.5, treat by 4.5. We can very clearly see that that measure is below the 85% compliance for achievement awards. The great thing about this is, again, this will just continue to build upon current data entry for the year. So obviously these achievement measures, recognition measure dashboard will help you stay on track for 2024 awards. But this will, I bet you guys will utilize this so much. I know we as AHA staff will be utilizing this so that we can kind of quickly come in and at a glance see what hospitals maybe have opportunities for improvement and what hospitals are really on track for another year of awards. So that's just the opportunity logging into your community page. You don't have to press any buttons. You may have to scroll down, but that's really all that you have to do here. Just look and use that report. Now, if you want to get into more of the nitty gritty, and we definitely encourage you, maybe once you've used the dashboard to identify quickly, maybe some opportunities for improvement or measures that you want to drill down on, then we recommend coming into your operational report and really, digging into your stroke patient data. So from the taskbar on the left-hand screen, you can see under analytics, there are operational reports. And what you'll select is the very first option under configurable reports, which are the Get With the Guidelines stroke measures report. So here you see I've highlighted the parameters that will need to be selected prior to running your report. You have your reporting period. As you guys know, the great thing about Get With the Guidelines, it's real-time data, and you have the ability to run reports down to the day. Depending on what you're interested in looking at, you may want to look at an annual picture of your patient data, quarters at a time, months, or even days. The next thing you'll want to select are the measures or measure bundles. Any benchmarks that you may want to compare your hospital to as well. The measure bundles that I've selected here would contain all of the measures associated with your achievement award, a plus award, target stroke, and target type 2 diabetes honor rolls, as Shelley mentioned in the beginning. You can run each bundle separately, or you can select them all and toggle through the bundles once you are in the report. You can also see here that you're able to run individual measures as well. And that can be done by expanding the little plus box to the right of the bundle name. Once you select the measures, or bundle that you're interested in running, you would click Apply Parameters to run your report. Alrighty, so once you've ran your report, this is what your screen will look like. And you'll see that it defaults to an individual measure for the time period selected. You see the heading of that measure shows that this is an achievement measure. It labels the measure. This is AHA stroke 1, which is anticoagulation for AFib, A-flutter. It tells you the kind of what your information is showing. This is the percent of patients with an ischemic stroke or TIA with atrial fibrillation, flutter that is discharged on an anticoagulation therapy. It gives you the time period, and then it also lists the site. Obviously, I am using a demo site for the slides today. The one thing I really want to point out, we've gotten a lot of questions when folks select multiple bundles, or if the bundle that you're selecting contains different types of measures. So think your comprehensive stroke measures, maybe your target stroke measures, or any bundles that contain a composite or defect-free measure. The bundles are categorized by type in separate tabs at the bottom of the screen. So the default would be the performance measures, as you see here. And performance measures are going to be your traditional numerator denominator measures. So think, achievement measures, the STK measures. When you think of a traditional performance measure, that's what's going to be grouped together on this tab. You can see that the second tab contains our descriptive measures. Descriptive measures, as you can probably imagine, describe things. They are not going to have your traditional numerator denominator. They are going to include measures like your door to time. They'll include things like diagnosis reports, thrombolytic therapy reports, and other histogram type reports that may categorize things like the diagnoses of a patient or therapies into certain boxes. The third tab you see here includes any composite or defect-free measures that may be included in your bundle. The diabetes bundle will contain all of the individual measures that are required for the target type 2 diabetes honor roll, but it also contains the composite measure, which is a grouping of all of the eligible opportunities for that patient. All right, so let's go back to what we would consider a traditional performance measure. And I'm going to just walk you through some of the options that are on the left-hand side that will allow you to really customize, enhance, change options, or the way that the report may look for you in this screen. It's going to allow you to toggle through measure bundles, individual measures, and other options without having to return to the report's home screen. If any of you have listened to some of our recorded webinars from our Health IT group, or those wonderful office hours that were held for the first 2.5 weeks of the launch, Jason has said so many times that the really great thing about this new platform is that the reporting capabilities are fluid, they're interactive, they're responsive, and it really is meant to be utilized kind of in person and not quite like a static, plain, flat PDF printout that maybe we're used to utilizing in the previous platform. So first off, at the top of the left-hand panel, if you chose multiple measure bundles, measure groups, or individual measures from different measure groups, then you have the ability to select which measure group you want to pull from. So you would just select that drop down and you could switch from achievement measures to quality measures. Again, you would have to have selected those measure bundles prior to running your parameters. The next option down then allows you to select the individual measure from the measure group above. So right now, things are running individual measure at a time. There is an enhancement coming in the near future that will allow you to just scroll through and see each of the measures individually. But for now, you'll have to click on this measures option and select the measure that you're interested in viewing. Next, we see display options. And this is probably an option that you're familiar with from the previous tool that allows you to pull all of the measures from a measure group into one view. So this is called graph similar measures. You can see here all of the achievement measures, AHA stroke 1 through 7, are listed here on one screen so that you can very quickly and easily see everything at one time. The final option I will showcase here is the ability to display a goal line. So either the achievement goal, which is 85%, or the plus goal, which is 75%, across the applicable measures. So this will allow you again to quickly and easily see which measures are meeting the threshold for that award requirement and which ones are falling below. So after you've run your recognition report, the next step and maybe the most important is to identify which patients are falling out of a measure. So maybe you run your measure bundle for your achievement measures and you notice that one of the measures is falling below 85%, or maybe they're sitting right at that 85% threshold. And you want to really just dive in and see, what patients are on the edge, what patients are falling out, and whether or not there's an opportunity to, look for themes, patterns in care, or really just check to make sure that the data entry is correct and reflecting the care that's being provided at your hospital. Once you have selected that individual measure on the previous screen, or if you have selected to have similar measures all graphed together, to see those measure details, your numerators, denominators, total patient, etc., as well as the associated patient case list, you'll need to select this button at the top that says Measure Details / Case List. Now you'll see that instead of having to go back to your reporting home screen and rerun the measure in a completely different format, we now have all of the information we need at our fingertips. So I'm sure many of you remember, we had to take multiple steps. We'd have to run the report as a bar graph, identify those report that or those measures that we wanted to dive into a little bit more, go back out, select this time that we want to run in patient record format, and then be able to really dig into the measure. Now you have it all in one place. So it's really going to save time, and it's going to allow you to really perform those quality improvement activities much simpler and faster too. So once you're here, you're able to click through the various measures. So as you see, I have access to all of the measures that I initially selected. If you were only looking at one measure at a time, you would just see that one measure. And if you click through the measure, so we see ASA or AHA stroke 1, anticoagulation is the first measure. You can see the patient measure details are highlighted. And so below, the associated case list for that measure is also visible. So from here, you really have the ability to sort through and identify those patients that are included in your denominator, but maybe not included in your numerator. That's going to give you a list of your patient fallout. You are able to review the data elements that are specifically included in the measure to identify whether or not maybe there's some missing data. Sometimes just scrolling through this information erroneous data can become obvious, or you can identify potential themes in care that's being provided. So this is really going to, again, allow you to dig into the patients that are specifically included in this measure themselves. I will note that the ability to filter and really call out the patient fallouts is coming soon. But for now, we can utilize the sort feature to access that information. Last but not least, you'll see on the left-hand side next to the patient ID, there is a column that says access case. And from here, if you identify that a patient is maybe missing data, maybe there's data that you know is entered in error, or maybe you just want to dig into that patient a little bit more, you can actually click on the hyperlink of that patient, and it will take you directly to the patient's record in the Get With the Guidelines stroke platform. So some of the features you'll remember from our previous tool, but just think of this as a kind of an amped up reporting platform that really is going to give you the ability to save time and identify the patients that you need to focus on a little bit quicker. Okay, so from here, I'm actually going to stop showing my screen for just a moment so that I can pull up the patient demo. Okay. All right. I'm assuming that one of my colleagues will tell me if I'm sharing anything other than the demo site.
You're good, Abby.
All right.
Looks good,
Thank
Abby.
you. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys in the demo environment, essentially just what I went through in the static presentation. You can see here on the community page, here are those dashboards that I was referring to, the prior 12 months at the top, the current year with the year-to-date accumulation. The great thing too is that you can hover over any of these. It will show you the information that you're interested in for that specific measure. You can also, if you click, there we go. If you left click on the graph itself, you can maximize, that really maximized that visualization, that you can drill in to maybe a specific set of measures or really look at what patient you may need to drill down into. From here, let's restore our layout and let's really jump into running a report. So I showed you in the slide, in the analytics over here on the task bar, but you can also access your report in multiple ways. You can select any of these go-to report hyperlinks, or you can select the bar graph here at the top. Again, we're going to click on the stroke measures report. And I am just going to run quickly the achievement measures for this demo site for 2023. So we see it's defaulted to annual, which is really what I want to see, especially right now. I want to see all of the patients that have been entered for the previous year and how my hospital is tracking towards an achievement award. So I'm going to select 2022. And I want to start in January. So January from 2022, it's going to give me that full year. From here, I'm just going to select the achievement measures box. We'll see if I expand this. it has selected each of the individual measures in this set. I don't want to add any benchmarks because really for recognition purposes, I'm really just interested in my facility, and I'm ready to run my report. I will note if there for any reason if your hospital uses the complete versus the incomplete records to denote maybe I'm not sure, of a facility, of freestanding ED. For any reason, if you are only wanting to run the measures on the records that are saved as complete, you do have the ability to run only on complete records. I will say for recognition analysis, we do look at all records unless you tell us otherwise. I'm going to go ahead and click Apply Parameters. And I will say we have to be patient. This is depending on what time period we selected, the number of individual measures or measure groups that you've selected. If you've added a bunch of benchmarks or filters, just remember that the more you kind of ask of the report, the longer it may take to run. I see that we're still thinking here. So I wanted to point out, you see this up arrow. If you are wanting to, maybe you forgot what all options you selected, or maybe you're wanting to make a change, you can actually select this up arrow and it'll take you back to your parameters. If you want to add something or change something, you would reselect apply parameters. But if you didn't change anything, just click the down arrow back and it'll take you right back to where you were. All right, so you can see here that we've got our achievement measures. So that was the only group that I selected just for the purposes of this demo. And I want to start with my stroke 1. And from here, I can hover over or click on the bar graph and see a snapshot of my numerator and denominator. If I want to, scroll through each of the individual measures, I can do that. And again, it gives me the information that I need. I would like to see all of my measures on one graph. So I'm going to select graph similar measures. And then the tool will give me my stroke 1 through 7, my AHA stroke 1 through 7. And then while we're here, let's go ahead and show my achievement goals. Obviously, this demo site is doing an amazing job. Everything is well above the 85% line. There's some additional things you can add here, like percentiles if you're interested. I didn't go into that on my slides, but there are additional opportunities for showing some additional data if you're interested. So from here, let's pretend that one of my measures is falling below this 85% line. I want to see what my case list for that measure is. So I'm going to select measure details / case list. Again, we see here that it lists all 7 of the measures that I selected. I will note if you select benchmark, you will not be able to access the case list, obviously, for any benchmark, only your hospital. So you can see it says that down here as well. But let's pretend that my IV thrombolytic arrived by 3.5, treat by 4.5. Let's say this was at 80% instead of 90. If I click on anywhere in this line, you'll see down here that my case list generates. So again, you're able to kind of scroll through, see if there is kind of obvious data missing. Maybe there is something that really jumps out at you that doesn't seem right. This is a great way to see every single one of the data elements included here is factored into the measure algorithm. And so each data element does play a role in whether or not that patient is excluded altogether, whether they're in your denominator, and then whether they're in your numerator. So if I wanted to see a list of patients that are in my denominator, but not included in my numerator, so they're falling out, I want to uh, sort my denominator column so that all of my x's, which means in the denominator, are brought up here to the top. Next, I want to add a second level of sorting to that numerator side as well. And so here we bring all of the x's for the numerator up to the top. So anything that has an x in both the denominator column and the numerator column is passing the measure. It's included in both of those numbers. So if I want to see who's included in the denominator but not the numerator, I'm going to need to scroll. Of course, I picked a measure that has a ton of patients in it that's doing incredibly well. But if you keep scrolling, oh, there we go. Eventually, unless you're at 100%, you will get to a point where there is an x in the denominator, but there is nothing in the numerator. So this is going to be my first patient fallout. And then anything below that that has an x in the denominator and not in the numerator will also be a fallout. So you can see it's a fairly short list, but it's a list that I may want to review as a stroke coordinator, as an abstractor, as a quality director. And I want to know, why is this patient included in my denominator, but not in my numerator? Well, and for this metric, we know if they arrive, have to be treated appropriately, or there has to be a documented reason why not. So right there, those are kind of the two big things that we look at. If I wanted to really drill down into this patient specifically, I could click on this hyperlink and it takes me directly to that patient in the tool. So from here, I can see, okay, well, I see some X's here. Let me go to my task and see, am I missing data that could have, potentially excluded this patient? And oh, I see that I'm missing a documented exclusion or relative exclusion for treating in the 3-hour window. If I want to, I can click on this data element or this question right here, and it will take me to that exact spot in the patient record. So just to keep in mind, my task is really going to help kind of guide you to the data elements that are, one, included and factored into our metrics, and two, those that are necessary for the layers that you have turned on to your for your hospital. So, this is similar steps to how we would run reports and drill into our patient records in the previous tool. But again, really able to do so much more once you're actually in the report. You can go back to your measure summary. You can go back to looking just at one report or one measure if you're interested. You can print. And if we print, we'll see here that it gives us a nice PDF of all of our measures. and then a second PDF of all of the measure details. Um, if I would have clicked on one of these measures specifically, I would have gotten the patient list associated with it as well. So lots of great features. We really wanted this webinar to spark an interest and get you guys enough information so that you feel comfortable going in to the platform and starting to run these reports. This is also a great kind of precursor to you reaching out to your AHA quality consultant and talking through what measures maybe you see with opportunities. Maybe it's just an opportunity to check in and say, hey, I think our measures look great. I think this is the award we're on track for. Maybe we can get together and walk through these measures together. But either way, we wanted to empower you and arm you with the knowledge to get in and run these reports yourself. I will also say that in the follow-up email and available in your handouts are 2 guides that were created. The first one is around running achievement measures. The second is if you qualify for the rural recognition, we also have a guide around running your rural recognition reports as well. So please take advantage and just get in and play around. The more you're in the tool, the more comfortable you'll get at.